Hi there. Many of us have developed a habit of overthinking things and worrying about worst case scenarios happening in our lives. If this is you, stay tuned because I'm going to share with you today two brilliant strategies for breaking that cycle, that habit cycle of worrying and stressing. For the best tips, tools, and advice on how to manage your mindset for a happier, calmer, and more confident life, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell below to be notified every time I post a new video on Fridays. I'm Becca Teers, and in my work as a hypnotherapist and mind management therapist, I've helped many people break the cycle of overthinking and worrying and stressing. And now I want to help you too. So here is the first brilliant strategy that will help you to break this cycle of overthinking and worrying. So this is called the thought loop. Now it works because when we think certain thoughts, if they're negative thoughts, they invoke in us certain emotions. And those emotions can then lead to our actions or our inactions in a certain situation or in our lives. And those actions then actually produce the results that we get, the outcome that we get. So by changing our thought at the beginning of this cycle or loop, you can actually help to change the whole chain of events. So you can change your emotions around that particular situation. You can then change how you act or how you don't act. And then that obviously affects the results as well. So with this thought loop, clients are often amazed at how just changing the thought at the beginning of this process can absolutely change how you feel and how you act, and then the results that you get from a situation. So I'm going to take you through this now. And the best way to do this thought loop exercise is to actually stand up and to actually imagine that you've got 4 circles in front of you. So 4 imaginary circles on the floor in front of you that you can step into for each stage. So the first stage is to identify a thought, a negative thought. So you step into the first circle, imaginary circle on the floor, and just identify a negative thought. The second stage of this thought loop process is to then step into the next circle and imagine or identify the emotions that you feel to do with that thought. The third stage is then to step into the next circle and to identify what actions or inactions you take to do with this thought and these feelings. And then you step into the 4th imaginary circle on the floor and you identify what results you get from this, from these thoughts, feelings, actions or inactions, what results or outcomes you get in your life. Now, to turn this around and reverse this situation and break this habit of negative thoughts, what you do is you imagine thinking a different thought about this particular situation. So you identify an alternative positive thought that you might think about this situation, and you step into the first circle. You then step into the second circle and identify emotions that you would be feeling about this more positive, better thought. You then step into the 3rd imaginary circle on the floor and you identify the actions or inactions of what would come from the more positive thought, the feelings to do with that. So what actions or inactions would then follow in this situation in your life? And then the 4th circle you step into and you identify what outcomes or results you would get from this different loop, this different cycle of thinking, feeling, acting or enacting. And then so what results you would get, what would be the outcome in your life. And as I say, clients are amazed by how just by changing that initial thought, that is under our control to change our thoughts, that can actually change the whole cycle of events, really, of what then goes on in that particular situation. It really helps us to train our minds not to go in that cycle of overthinking and worrying. It just breaks that cycle. So for an example of this, what you could use as an example in this thought loop exercise is, okay, the thought might be, say if you sometimes suffer from social anxiety or shyness, the thought might be, I never enjoy myself at parties. I go and I just feel that nobody wants to talk to me. The second circle with the feelings might be, I feel like I don't want to go, I feel scared to go to the party, I feel a bit depressed about that, I feel sad about that because I do want to make connections, but I just find it a bit more difficult to do so. And then the third circle may be, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go to the party, or if I do go, I go and I feel self-conscious and I don't really enjoy myself, maybe until I've had a drink, or, you know, those would be the actions that would go with that initial thought and feelings. And then the result or the outcome of those thoughts, feelings and actions or inactions will be that you may go to the party, but you may not enjoy it as much as you could. You may avoid going. And then, you know, the actual outcome of that is that you do want to make connections, you want to socialise, but you don't do it, or if you do it, you feel not so comfortable doing so. So an alternative way, an alternative thought that you could choose to think might be, okay, I'm not always the most confident person, but people do like to talk to me, they enjoy my company. I'm just going to go and I'm just going to relax and just go and be myself. So the feelings, when you step into the second circle, the feelings might be, okay, well, I feel more relaxed. I feel I can leave if I want to when I go, but I can go to this party. I feel relaxed about it. I feel calm. I feel confident in me. I like myself. So, you know, I can go and I can just feel good about it. And then the next circle would be your actions or inactions. So your actions might be that you go to the party and you feel more relaxed than you would have done, and so you end up having more fun and you end up maybe talking to somebody, connecting with somebody, meeting somebody that you enjoyed spending time with. So then the outcome in the fourth circle would be that, you know, actually you start to maybe look forward to going to these social events a bit more. At least you feel more relaxed about going. You just feel happier and a bit more relaxed in general about being social. So you can see that if you just change that initial thought, the feelings, the actions, and then your results and your outcomes can change greatly. So try that thought loop interrupter exercise and let me know how it works for you, if you like it. It's a powerful tool, and the best way to do it is, as I said, to do it where you've got enough space in front of you that you can imagine these circles, imaginary circles on the floor, so that you can actually move physically and step from one circle into the next. And then change the initial thought to a more positive thought, and again move through the different circles with the emotions, the inactions or actions, and then the outcome and result. So let me know how that goes, and yeah, it's a powerful tool. So try it and see how it works for you. Now, the second strategy to help you to break the cycle of worrying and overthinking is to really think about the fact that most of what we worry about doesn't ever come true. And you know, Mark Twain once said, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. And if you think about the word fear, it can also spell fantasized events appearing real. And you know, a lot of these things that we worry about don't happen. And the Huffington Post actually did a study a couple of years ago that showed that 85% of the things that people worry about didn't actually happen. And 15% of those things, of the 15% of those things that did happen, 79% of the actual participants in this study reported that actually they dealt with what happened a lot easier and a lot better than they thought they would, and also that they actually learnt something. They grew personally from what happened and it benefited them in some way. So this strategy is all about shining the light on a fear, challenging a fear, and just really getting it out into the open. So the first thing to do is to challenge the fear is to ask yourself a question. Ask yourself, how likely is this thing that I'm worrying about, how likely is it that it's going to happen in my life? So how likely between 1 and 10, 1 being not at all likely and 10 being absolutely positive that it's going to happen. How likely is it that this is going to happen? What's the number that you get? And then if the number's really low, the answer to this question is a very low number, then you may not want to go on to the second and third questions in this strategy. The second question is to ask yourself, if this did happen, how would I make the best of it? What would I do to make the best of this situation for myself and for everybody else involved? And then the third question to ask yourself is, what are the things that I can do now in my life? What are the things that I can start to do to really minimise the likelihood of this happening? So coming up with some strategies, some things that you can put in place now to minimise what you're fearing actually happening. And so by asking yourself these 3 questions and coming up with the answers, it just really gets everything out in the open. And the worst thing is the fear. Actually, the things that we worry about happening are actually not as bad as the fear. So by shining a light on this, really looking at what you're worrying about and really just bringing it out in the open, you can just really neutralise it and feel a lot calmer. So now you have some great strategies for helping yourself to break that cycle of worrying or overthinking. I've also written a lifestyle guide about being able to deal with anxiety. So it's called 10 Things People with Anxiety Should Be Doing Every Day. If you would like this guide, just click in the link below in the description and you will get your copy. I really hope this video helped you, and if you liked it, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel and share this video with anyone that you feel would benefit from learning these strategies. If you would like more tips for managing your mindset, you might want to watch this video, Tips to Manage Anxiety and Feel Calmer. And for now, I just want to say thank you for watching, hope this has helped you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take good care of yourself.